careless group joke spiraled out of control. Now my husband doesn't want to see me anymore.
Have you ever been in a situation where a harmless joke within your friend group spiraled out of control? Well, that's what happened to me, and now my husband doesn't want to see me anymore. It all started with a silly prank that we thought would bring some laughter and fun. But as the joke escalated, it crossed a line that we never intended to cross. Some things are better left as they are because you actually don't know the outcome of them. It's so sad that I chose to do a childish and careless act just to make my husband jealous. You know the phrase that says, "Let bygones be bygones"? I should have used it. My husband, who was not part of the prank, felt deeply hurt and betrayed by my involvement. Despite my apologies and attempts to make things right, he refuses to even talk to me. It's a painful reminder of how a thoughtless action can have serious consequences on our relationships. I never imagined that a simple joke could lead to such a rift between us. Now, I'm left grappling with the aftermath and trying to repair the damage that has been done. I had never thought that one day I would find myself being one of my alpha husband's brutal revenge. You know, when you are too carefree, you end up doing things that would ruin your life and the second party's life. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was just having fun, but I guess the fun had me instead. A very small mistake took me back to the hellhole I thought I had left. I regret the day I made that mistake. I thought my husband was not going to find out. We were playing a game, you know. Just having fun with a couple of friends at a party, not knowing that what I had thought was a game was actually cheating. The worst part was the fact that I had to realize it the hard way. I was fooled by my friends and did things that I had thought were harmless and fun only for it to ruin my life. I know someone who once had the same experience or had gone through the same situation that I was facing. How did you pick up the broken pieces and fix things regarding this situation? I know that my husband is a very sensitive person and he doesn't like stupid jokes, but still I went ahead with it. I really thought we were all just having fun only for him to take the joke personally and react in a cruel way. I really regret even starting with the prank game because now it has put me in a very tough situation and it took away the love of my life. Till today, I still don't know how to make John understand that it wasn't my intention to hurt his feelings and try to fix things between us. So I was married to John Johnson, male 33. I, female 33. First met him at the Cheesecake Factory in Dubai. I had gone there because I was craving for some cheesecake. The Cheesecake Factory is my favorite spot, but that day I don't know what had happened to the bakers because I got a very unpleasant cheesecake and it was a bummer for me. So I asked to speak to the manager because the cake tasted like it was made 5 days ago. As I was busy arguing with the employee, John came and offered to help me. I told John my complaint and he kindly took my complaint seriously and told the employees to fix the issue. I don't know if I would say that it was my lucky day at that time, but everything was just going smoothly because they even gave me a free cheesecake. John asked for my number so that he would make it up to me for the inconvenience caused. I told him that he didn't have it, but the guy assisted, so I gave him my number. 3 days later, he gave me a call and asked for us to meet at some restaurant in Barsha Heights. I wasn't sure if I should agree or reject the request, but I ended up agreeing anyway. So we met and we actually clicked, you know. Our souls clicked and we talked like we were getting to know each other. He then said that he is actually the owner of the Cheesecake Factory. I really liked the way he was humble and handled my matter as a priority when I had an issue with the employee and a cheesecake. We started getting along, communicating more via social media, especially on WhatsApp. He was a very good advisor. He was very smart, charming, and all that. I really liked the guy the first time we had spent time together. Was it too early for me to catch feelings for the guy? I mean, is there a time frame that was put to fall for a person? I didn't know how I would confess my feelings for the guy, so I decided to just go with the friendship flow, even though it wasn't really easy having to always chat with this person, and sometimes going out with him while knowing that you have deep love feelings for the man. Our friendship got stronger each day as much as I had a huge crush on him, but I had closed my crush to a small cage. At least we were friends and we were spending more time together. I was not used to Dubai, so he would take me to different places to visit, different ice cream shops. There was this weekend when he came to my aunt's house and asked me to accompany him somewhere. I didn't ask much, so I went with him, only to find out that we were going to Jumeirah Beach Residence, which was 35 minutes drive away from Barsha Heights. We were friends for like 6 months until I couldn't hold myself any longer. So I confessed my feelings to John, and to my surprise, he was actually surprised by the bomb that I had just dropped. I won't lie and say I wasn't nervous when I was confessing my undying love to John because I'm scared. We went quiet for a few moments then, when my mind and heart had given up on thinking that maybe he would accept my proposal. But little did I know that the guy was actually digesting what I had told him. So he actually kissed and I just froze, like I couldn't believe it, you know. So that's when our relationship started. I was not regretting ever confessing my love for John. I mean, he was a very good partner to me. I couldn't ask for any other partner except for him. Yes, we had our fair share of ups and downs, but we had managed to break through everything. John was a God-fearing man and I wasn't, but we respected each other's beliefs and religions. We supported each other, and we decided that we wanted to actually grow old together through thick and thin, even through darkness and light. I loved John with every being in me, and I still love him even now, which is surprising after the damage that he had caused in my life. After a year of getting to know each other, he decided that he wanted to grow old with me. So he proposed in front of our families and friends. I was just the happiest woman alive, and everything was just going smoothly. John did everything for me. We got married 3 months after he had proposed. He made me an honest woman. Even though our marriage didn't last for long, memories of my relationship with John will always remain constant. We had our share of bad and good times. We really loved each other. That's what I know for sure. The following year, he proposed to me, and obviously I said yes. I mean, I saw the love of my life in him. Even though he was a bit insecure, maybe not a bit, but I loved him so much. I didn't see myself with anyone else other than him. He was my ride or die, my joy and happiness. I fell hard for him every day, not knowing that my small, stupid mistakes would cost me everything, including my love. Was it being naive or being forward? We got married after 6 months. Well, we didn't want to rush things, so we took our own sweet time to plan for our perfect wedding. I had moved out of my aunt's house after he proposed. We were living happily ever after. You know when you feel that she is the one, and you don't want anything to get in between you, which was how I felt. He was everything and more, not knowing that he would become my downfall someday. A year later, I fell pregnant. Our lives were great. I was so happy that I was going to be a mom. Not just being a mom, but the fact that I was going to have a child with the person I loved so much. 9 months later, I gave birth to a very adorable baby girl. She looked so much like my husband, and I loved her so much. She was and still is the best gift God has given me. A year later, I had asked my aunt to come over to my marital home with her husband because I had planned a surprise retirement and welcome back party for him since he was no longer going to be working overseas but coming back home. I wanted to appreciate him while he was still alive. That man had done so much for me. He was the best uncle-father I had ever had. Both Uncle John and my aunt deserved to get their roses while still alive. During that year, John had started acting really strange. He was no longer spending time with me, but he would take our daughter only and saying it was a daughter and daddy bonding session. That was actually a very lame excuse because even at home things were no longer fun. It was like we were forcing things even though our conversations were no longer fun and full of happiness. I had thought he was cheating because one day I had confronted him about his sudden behavior, and he looked at me like I had grown horns or I was crazy. So I decided to check his gadgets. Maybe he was using them, but I found nothing. I knew and felt that he was hiding something from me, but I couldn't get myself to think that whatever he was hiding was actually about me. One summer evening, I was preparing for my uncle's retirement/welcome home party. I had told John that I would be hosting a party for my uncle, so I needed him to be there to help me. That day, he had promised me that he would be home early, but he didn't keep his promise. I mean, why was I surprised? Because he had been absent for a few days. He would go to work very early in the morning and come back late when our daughter would have even gone to sleep. When I asked him about it, he would say he was caught up at work. I couldn't shake off the nagging feeling that told me that something was off. I kept wondering why John was so distant and absent lately. Yes, I found out that he was not cheating, but there was something that had made him too busy for his wife, because even our intimate moments were no longer the same. It was like he was doing it to satisfy himself more than the both of us. I wanted to find out what his problem was, but I just didn't know where to start. I had thought I knew John, but his behavior showed me that I didn't know him at all. So as the guests were arriving for my uncle's party, my uncle and his wife came, but I noticed that my uncle was a bit off as he tried pretending to be happy. I asked him on the side to speak with him, so I asked him what was going on. I had thought he was sick or something, but that was not the case. He had recently opened his coffee shop with the money he had gotten when it was his last day overseas. About a month later, John came back from work and gave me an invitation to his friend's wedding, so he wanted me to be his +1. I had known their friends and their partners for a while, but we were not close at that time because I was still a newbie in John's life. I accepted the invitation, and I knew that I had to find a stunning dress to match with my husband. The big day came, and I looked really fabulous in my dress. I was introduced to some of the groups that I haven't met, and I don't want to lie, they have a vibe with great energy. Time went on, and John decided to celebrate his birthday by hosting his friends for a birthday lunch braai. I didn't have a problem with that. I knew that it would give me a chance to get to know his other friends and their partners, so I was looking forward to it. John had been a sweetheart at that time, and he was less going to meetings with his business associates in some hotel. As much I had wanted to spend time with John on his birthday, but the braai idea was not a bad one. His birthday came, the friends came, and we were having so much fun. Conversations were flowing. We stayed together until very late, but we were enjoying everyone's company. The girls came with the idea of pranking our partners or playing the dare game, whereby you will have to share your deepest secret or tell us what is happening in your life and how intimate your moments are with your partner. I wasn't sure about those ideas, but they sounded fun, so I agreed to participate also, not knowing that it would actually put me in hot waters even though we didn't play it during John's birthday braai. 2 weeks later, a married couple who are John's friends invited us to their 10th year anniversary. I was so happy for them, you know. I had wished that I would also get to 10 years of marriage with John, but I didn't know that it would actually end on a 3rd year of marriage. We honored the invite and made sure to look the part and match the theme. Frank, male 36, and Christina, female 34, the married couple, were what we call a match made in heaven. Their love was so precious and pure. I just loved how they loved each other and did everything together. It all began innocently enough, as these things often do. Our friend group had always been known for our playful banter and lighthearted pranks. But little did I know that one careless joke would unravel everything I held dear. It was a typical Friday evening, and we were gathered at our usual spot, Frank's backyard, sipping beers and swapping stories. As the laughter flowed freely, someone brought up the topic of superstitions. That's when it happened, the catalyst for the chaos that followed. In a moment of sheer spontaneity, I blurted out a ridiculous idea. Wouldn't it be hilarious if we staged a fake breakup between me and John just to mess with everyone? I chuckled, thinking it would be nothing more than a fleeting moment of amusement. But the idea caught fire among our group. Before I knew it, we were all huddled together, brainstorming ways to make the fake breakup seem authentic. We planned every detail meticulously, from dramatic social media posts to tearful phone calls to friends. After the whole thing, Christina reminded us of the games that we had planned to play when we were at my house during John's braai. The first dare came to me, and I was dared to tell John a serious joke stating where he is lacking. I knew that that was a tough one, but I had to play it, you know. In my mind, I was just telling myself that it's just a game and nothing was going to happen, so I should participate. I blurted out that I was no longer enjoying our intimate moments because he is always tired and sometimes busy, so I was thinking of seeking intimacy outside our marriage. The following week, we put our plan into action. I pretended to be distraught, posting cryptic messages on social media about heartbreak and betrayal. John played along, offering comfort to our concerned friends and family members because they didn't know about the game. The game was full of fun, but little did I know that playing it was like playing with my marriage because it didn't end very well, and I regret ever accepting the challenge. At first, it was all in good fun. Our friends fell for the ruse hook, line, and sinker, offering sympathy and support. But as the days passed, I began to realize the gravity of what we had done. John grew distant, his once warm and affectionate demeanor replaced by a cold detachment. He avoided me, barely speaking more than a few words at a time. I tried to brush it off as part of the act, but deep down, I knew something had changed between us. Finally, one evening, John sat me down for a serious conversation. His eyes were filled with hurt and disappointment as he confessed that he couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. He couldn't understand how I could joke about something as sacred as our relationship. I didn't understand why he was so worked up because the game instructions were clear. It was just a game, meaning we were just joking, but he took it to heart. We had a heated argument about what I had said at Christina's house. It even affected our daughter. You know that kids sense tension, so my daughter also sensed the tension, and it wasn't nice. John was really at me. Even if I tried to apologize, he wouldn't care about what I was saying. He only cared about his daughter, and that was hurting deeply. I even decided to be a stay-home mom just because I was respecting him, since he wanted me to be a housewife. But we had spoken about that and came to an agreement that I would do only remote jobs. And he decided to do such an evil act on me. What did I do wrong to him? The way I was shuddered and disappointed led to not being a fully present mother to our daughter. John was like my housemate because we were no longer sleeping in one bedroom and we were like strangers. Days turned to weeks and weeks turned to months. So one of those days, John came back very early from work and he didn't look too well. I tried asking him what was going on, but he didn't tell me. Instead, he looked at me like I was the most disgusting thing he had ever laid his eyes on. I got really confused because I had thought that we had forgiven each other for the game that happened at Christina's house, not knowing that the bastard actually found out that I had kissed a guy because of a game. So I asked him again, getting worried because he was not even happy to see our daughter, so I was wondering what may be the problem. Instead of answering, he just threw his phone at me. Then he started shouting, which is what I did despite him. He shouts like he is reprimanding a child, and that usually takes us to an argument. I looked at the phone that he had thrown at me, and I got the shock of my life. I couldn't even argue with him or deny because the picture in the video was right before my eyes. I didn't know what to say, nor do you know. I tried apologizing to him, but he wasn't having it. He wanted me gone. He told me right in my face that he doesn't want to see me anymore, saying that I had made him a fool for far too long. I spent the whole week in the hospital because of the state that my mind was in. I'd been getting sick every now and then, only to find out that I had lost my unborn child that I didn't even know about. My mind and heart was shuttered. A day before I got discharged from the hospital, my husband's lawyer came to see him. He left another envelope that I didn't even bother opening, but I took it home with me the next day. So when I had settled well at home, I remembered the envelope and opened it. The things the envelope contained left me in awe. My heart stopped for a moment. In the envelope, there were pictures of me and my male friend kissing each other. It looked like we were dating. I couldn't believe how my husband had got the pictures. I didn't understand why he would send his lawyer to deliver the pictures to me, and I saw nothing wrong in what I did, in my world or mine. Kissing was not and should not be considered as cheating. I mean, no feelings were attached. It was fun, nothing else. So after the pictures were delivered, the lawyer called me again, saying the divorce process had to come to a final decision and requested to see me along with my husband on a certain date. I honored his request and went to meet up with him and my husband. The only thing that made me agree to the meeting was because I had a lot of questions to ask my husband. One fateful day, the day of the meeting came and my husband was really divorcing me, and his reasons for the divorce were that he had lost trust in me, and I had not been faithful to our marriage. The fact that I had found solace in another man's arms and left him in our house to take care of our daughter. I thought he understood that I was going through grief, and I was not myself. I tried defending myself in the picture case, and the lawyer told me exchanging saliva or kissing another person outside my marriage is considered cheating, even if I had thought it was an innocent friendship kiss. But the fact that I had spent time and kissed another person in the name of friendship is cheating. I begged him to forgive me. I cried and acted like a lunatic, but he was just not bugging. I didn't know that and never thought of it as cheating because me and the guy were only friends. I didn't take him as another thing and never thought of him that way. I loved my husband so much, but I guess the only thing I never did was respect my wedding vows and my husband. I didn't know, okay? One moment I was happy, the next I was devastated by an argument that we had about the joke and found comfort in alcohol. That alcohol led me to do something that I had thought I was doing just for fun. I guess nothing stays in the dark. I felt so ashamed. Doing things in the name of fun sometimes leads us to our downfall. So I ended up signing the papers, meaning I was actually letting go of my husband, our love, our vows, and our family. I asked the lawyer what I was benefiting from the divorce, and he told me that I would be getting nothing rather than the house I was living in. So I asked my husband to unfreeze my accounts, and he told me that my accounts were fine. It was just that they didn't have any money. I knew he was crazy, but I had never thought it was to that extent. How could he do something so evil to the mother of his child? As I had thought that was all. He then dropped a very large and a killer bombshell to me, saying that he was taking full custody of our daughter, and that I was not fit enough to be a mother, so he was taking full responsibility to our daughter. A few weeks later, he filed for full custody of our daughter, stating that I was not fit to be a mother. On top of that, he blocked all my bank cards. I didn't know about that until I tried swapping the card in the petrol station, so I called my advisor, and I was actually told that my cards were blocked. When I got home, I found out that he had actually taken my clothes and threw them outside. The doors were locked and changed, meaning I no longer had access to the house anymore. Mind you, that time I didn't have gas in my car, so I didn't know how I was going to get home from Dammock Hill. My ex-husband was evil and psychopathic. The signs were there, but I didn't pay any attention to them. I was so much in love and thought I had found my soulmate, but I found my worst nightmare and downfall. I couldn't believe that he did all that just because of a lousy kiss. It wasn't like I was dating the guy, but he destroyed my life. All in the name of revenge for a kiss. A few months later, I had to try and fix my life bit by bit. John did a number on me, so it wasn't easy having to start afresh. Fortunately, I found a job as a waitress in one of the restaurants nearby. It was not easy, but I had to try and pick up life and better myself. I had no one but myself, so it was time to focus on me and do me. And the good thing was that John's parents had allowed me to see my daughter and spend time with her. I prayed every day for karma to visit John one day. Fortunately, it did. All his operations came out and he was arrested. I vowed to myself to never fall in love again or have a crush on someone. I have learnt my lesson. Do you think I handled the whole situation better, or I was a coward and naive to allow John to destroy my life like that? Please advise me. Tears welled up in my eyes as I realized the extent of the damage our stupid joke had caused. I begged for forgiveness, but John's heart was broken, and he couldn't bring himself to trust me again. Our friend group's harmless prank had cost me the love of my life. As I sit alone now, surrounded by the echoes of laughter that once filled our home, I can't help but wonder, was the joke really worth it? You know when a person says they were drowning in deep, muddy waters? I was that person. I was drowning in muddy water and I couldn't swim. I resorted to finding closure in alcohol. I became what my mother was when she was divorced by my father. At that time, I understood why my mother was an alcoholic. My life was down and out. I had lost the only person who showered me with love and care and gave me a very beautiful daughter. Now I had lost that daughter, plus something that was so dear in my heart, my company. I was really depressed and wished to just go far away where there were no troubles and sorrows. 6 months later, my mother told me to stop having a pity party because it will not bring back the things that I had lost, including my daughter, but instead it would take me straight to the morgue, and when that happens, I would not be able to fight nor see my daughter ever again. Those words made me think again about life, so I took the money that I had saved from my company and the one I had got when I got divorced and used it to fix myself. I went to the rehabilitation center for 6 months while attending AA meetings when I was inside. By the time I came out, I was a whole new person. I had discovered what my worth was and what I wanted. I started by asking for at least a joint custody of my daughter, which I got by the grace of God. I went through a very tough depression phase for almost a year, and I had thought I was going to lose my life in the process. Everything was too much for me to handle. But there was one thing I was proud of that I had done, and that was saving myself from the greedy and selfish bastard. I was glad that my mother came through for me when John threw out my clothes. My mother found me a therapist that did house calls, and I was grateful for that because I didn't want to face the world, you know. I was somehow scared that John would see me or temper with my car tires. This time it showed that he was just obsessed with destroying my life. I couldn't leave my daughter alone. The therapy sessions went on for months because sometimes I would not want to open up, but I eventually got help and decided to stand up for myself. John was sentenced to 25 years in prison for scamming a businessman in Chicago, and other charges came up when the police continued with the investigation. I was so relieved that he was finally away from me and my family, and I had vowed to never ever think I know better. I vowed to listen to my mother whenever she gives me warnings. After John got sentenced, I became free again. I became myself, and decided to take my acting career seriously, while I continued being a waitress on the side. After that, I never went back to my matrimonial house. I continued staying with my mother, and our lives were in so much peace and happiness. I realized that I didn't know what peace and happiness was when I was with John because I was blinded by the love I had for him. But now I can proudly say I am free and at peace. I'm the person who made rules for myself and never allowed anyone or anything to change that. I lived my life for me without looking for validation from others. But when I fell in love with John, all of that changed. I lost myself. I became his puppet, his submissive wife. I followed his rules and did everything the way he wanted to, all because of love and being committed to the relationship, even though it was very much toxic. But I stayed and held on to the hot steel even when it had started to burn my skin. It's not easy being in a relationship whereby you have to compromise yourself just because you want to make your partner happy. It has never worked like that. I know that some would be surprised if I were to say that I still love my ex-husband and I miss him so much every day. My heart wanted me to fight for our relationship and find a common solution to the problem. But why try to help a person who doesn't need help? It was like he was somehow possessed by a controlling demon. So when it was in active mode of controlling him, he would want to be in control also. John was like a person who had multiple personality disorder, even though I can't and couldn't confirm it. But the way he was doing things, his manipulative and controlling tendencies seemed like he was pushed by something or someone to do it, to satisfy it. One thing I regret about myself was that I didn't or never gave myself enough time to learn more about John. I mean, it didn't take us too long to get married, from being friends to being boyfriend and girlfriend to being husband and wife. All of those stages happened within 1 year, if I am not mistaken. Everything happened too fast, and I was blindly in love to notice anything on our dating stage. Please tell me if the decisions I had taken and made were good moves. I mean, half of my heart still loves the guy, but the other hates him with passion. My daughter sometimes wants to visit him in jail, but I do not allow them because I do not want anything to do with John. What should I do? Please tip me here because I am lost and I don't know what to do. I want to hear from you. Redditors, what should I have done? Yes, I had hopes that he would eventually change and become the man I had fallen in love with. I thought he would eventually realize that he was the one with the problem and try to change it with me on his side, supporting him as his wife. I had spoken with him a lot about his behavior and begged him to at least talk to a therapist so he would be able to take out whatever that he had and get help. Instead, he would just brush everything off and dismiss my opinion like it was nothing. Though according to my own knowledge and perspective, I don't know what I was doing. I would say it was being ungrateful and not being able to be patient with my husband. I wish things were done differently. Yes, it's too late. But I regret every stupid decision that I had made. Now I have lost everything, and there is really no one to blame but myself. I don't know how I can fix all of this and get forgiveness for myself. I know everything showed that I did everything willingly, even though I couldn't remember the following, but only God knows the truth. I didn't know that just one joke would actually land me where I am now. Am I being a fool or naive if I say I miss John so much and our daughter misses him too? I'd been thinking of visiting him in prison, but I don't know what I would say to him when I get there. Yes, I want him to be punished for being fake and scamming me along with other people that he had scammed. But my heart still longs for him. I can't even talk to my mother about this because I know that she will freak out when she hears about my heart desire. So please help me find a way to approach both families about this issue. What do you say I should do? Please help me. I am a 26-year-old male who recently got married to a 24-year-old girl named Rachel. I mean, like exactly 3 weeks ago. I really thought that she was the one until my dreams of having the perfect marriage shattered. Everything seemed to be going well at first, but I soon discovered that Rachel had been hiding a significant secret from me. I found out that my wife had been cheating just a week after our wedding. This is what I did to get my perfect revenge. I met Rachel, my wife, maybe ex-wife, not really sure what to address her when I was 24. We both were in university and shared a few classes together. I was a nerd and did not pay much attention to my surroundings in university. I saw her at one of the university lectures that I was attending, and she was sitting across from me. I was so smitten by her beauty that I couldn't help but strike up a conversation with her after the lecture. She was not only beautiful, but also very smart and well aware of her surroundings. I could see that there were a lot of eyes on her when I started talking to her. I am not used to garner that much attention from people. She asked me a question which I did have an answer to, but I told her that I would get back to her on it. She snatched my phone from my hand and put in her contact details. I was very flustered by her actions. She came very close to my ear and said that she really wanted to know the answer. My ear turned red in an instant. She smiled and left. I could not get this incident out of my mind for days. I was contemplating on how I should get in touch with her. Should I just send the answer to the question, or should I ask her to meet me so that I could explain it to her? I decided to ask her to meet me at the university cafeteria to give her the answer. We had a lot of intellectual talks around chemistry. I was always aware that she had a lot of eyes on her. One thing that irked me about her was she never acknowledged our relationship openly in front of others. She also did not shy away flirting with anyone who showed even a slight bit of interest in her. This behavior made me question the authenticity of our connection and left me feeling insecure about our relationship. Despite our intellectual discussions, I couldn't help but wonder if she valued our bond as much as I did, or if I was just another person she enjoyed flirting with. She reassured me that she had eyes only for me. I had no choice but to trust her words. However, her actions continued to fuel my doubts. It was difficult for me to fully believe her reassurances when she consistently displayed flirtatious behavior towards others. I yearned for a relationship where our connection was acknowledged and cherished openly, which made me question if we were truly on the same page emotionally. She would openly flirt around with people to get her things done and come to me with love in her eyes. It was very difficult for me to read her. I wondered if she was this way with everyone, or was I special? Whenever my doubts rose, she would do something so special for me that I would think differently about her. She would make me believe that I was the one she wanted to be with. That made me both happy and filled with joy at the same time. She had this friend, Liam, who she told was her best friend. He was always around hanging out with her. As they had most of their classes together, I always found them together. Even when we would be on a date, he would either interrupt or come along with us. I had mentioned this to Rachel that I don't feel that comfortable around him. She always dismissed it, stating that he is the one who understands her best and he really liked that I was her boyfriend. However, as time went on, I couldn't shake the feeling that Liam's presence was more than just friendship. There were moments when I caught him giving Rachel lingering looks or whispering things to her that made me uneasy. Despite my concerns, Rachel continued to assure me that there was nothing going on between them and that I was overreacting. We were on a date one day when out of the blue Rachel said that we should move in together. I was ecstatic. I had been hoping for our relationship to progress to the next level, and Rachel's suggestion made me feel incredibly happy and excited about our future together. The thought of sharing a home with her filled me with a sense of joy and anticipation, as we could now truly build a life together. Though it had been only 6 months for us, I felt that we were ready to take it to the next level. I was more than happy she was the one who had suggested this. All my doubts about her not being serious about our relationship vanished into thin air after her suggestion. It showed me that she was committed and invested in our future together. Moving in together would not only bring us closer, but also allow us to create a space that truly reflected our shared values and aspirations. I was so happy initially when we moved in together. She got her stuff and we tried to make it into our home. After the setting up, Rachel suggested that we should have a party. We called our friends over. Of course, she had much more friends than I did. As the night went on, people started leaving. At the end, it was just Rachel, Liam, and I. I was hoping that he would leave soon. I knew that Rachel would not appreciate it if I asked Liam to leave, so I was waiting for either one of them to realize that it's late and we should call it a night. As the night grew later, I couldn't help but feel a sense of discomfort lingering in the air. The exhaustion was starting to weigh on me, and I silently hoped that someone would suggest winding down and bidding farewell. However, the atmosphere remained lively, and I found myself anxiously awaiting a natural conclusion to the evening. I was almost dozing off when Rachel suggested that I go to the bedroom and rest. She kissed me goodnight and whispered, "Don't worry, I'll join you soon." Her comforting words eased my tiredness, and I obediently made my way to the bedroom, feeling grateful for her understanding and care. I woke up the next morning and saw Rachel was nowhere to be seen. I looked at the time and thought that she might have already left for her classes. I walked out of the room to see the mess from last night and clear it. As I walked toward the sofa, I saw something on the couch. I moved closer, still pretty sleepy and drunk from last night. It was hard to understand what it was. I slowly moved the comforter and was expecting it to be Rachel. As I moved the comforter, I saw Liam fast asleep. I was about to walk towards the kitchen when I saw something familiar. I moved the comforter further down, and there she was. Rachel was sleeping beside Liam with her clothes disheveled, and this brought me out of my hangover instantly. Memories of the previous night flooded back, and I couldn't help but feel a mix of anger and betrayal. I needed answers, but I also knew that confronting them in that moment would only lead to more chaos. I decided to leave for work, as there was no point in waking them up and confronting them now. I wanted them to be sober before I spoke to them. I left for work, but was filled with a mix of frustration and concern. It was difficult to focus on my tasks, constantly wondering what had happened the night before. As I anxiously waited for the day to end, I hoped that it was not what I was thinking. I quickly rushed home and noticed that Liam was still at home. I was both glad and angry. Glad that I could talk to both of them at the same time, and angry that Rachel did not ask him to leave. I asked them very coolly what happened last night. They both started laughing. I was getting impatient, and they were doing nothing to help me subside my anger. Rachel then told me that after I went to bed, they had a few more drinks and passed out on the couch. There was no way I was going to fall for such blatant lies. I was still looking at them to see if they would elaborate more on it. They just started talking among themselves about other things. It was as if I was invisible, and I standing there did not bother them. I could not take it anymore and walked into my room. After almost 1 hour, Liam finally left and Rachel made her way into our bedroom. I did not pay any attention to her and was focusing on trying to read a book. She walked towards me and pulled the book from my hands. She then sat on my lap and started kissing me. I knew very well that I should not fall for her tactics and insist on more explanation regarding last night. But there was something about her that instantly made me think that I was the only one she truly loved. Maybe it was just a mistake. Maybe they were too sloshed to realize where and who they were sleeping with. After our steamy session, she said that if she knew that I was not the one on the couch, she would have found me and slept beside me. Though I wasn't fully convinced with their drunken story, I decided to let it slide. They had been friends for a really long time, and I know that things like these do happen at parties. I still had trust in my relationship with Rachel and wanted to give it a chance. It had been 1 year since we had been together. I decided that it was time for us to take our relationship to the next level. I had made all preparations to propose to her at her favorite restaurant with the cliché ring in the drink. I had butterflies in my stomach as I rehearsed the words I would say to her, hoping she would say yes. The thought of spending the rest of my life with her filled me with excitement and anticipation. I was panicking when the wine glasses arrived. I waited for her to take a sip and realized that there was a ring in the glass. When she did, she was still for like 15 seconds. I was scared that she would just walk away. I didn't know what was going through her mind. My heart had stopped beating in those few seconds. Finally, after a really long pause, she said yes and came towards me to kiss me. As we embraced, tears of joy streamed down my face. In that moment, I knew that our love was stronger than ever and that our future together was filled with endless possibilities. Rachel and I sat together to pick dates for our wedding. She asked that we should get married after she completed her degree. She was excited and wanted to be able to focus on all the aspects of planning the wedding without thinking about her assignments. We discussed the potential dates and agreed that it would be best to have the wedding during the summer break, giving Rachel ample time to relax and enjoy the celebration. Additionally, we decided to involve a wedding planner to alleviate any stress and ensure that everything goes smoothly on our special day. We shortlisted a wedding planner and also a few shops to buy other things from. I told Rachel that I would work on her assignments with her so that she has enough time to visit all the shops and venues to shortlist things. I was busy with my work and completing assignments for Rachel. I could hardly make time to visit the venues or the event planner. Rachel would take Liam along with her on her ventures. They were deciding on things on their own. I did feel a little left out, as it was me Rachel was getting married to and not Liam. I did bring that up to Rachel, expressing my concerns about feeling excluded from the wedding planning process. I explained that I wanted to be more involved and have a say in important decisions. Rachel understood my perspective and apologized for unintentionally leaving me out. We agreed to set aside dedicated time to discuss and make decisions together, ensuring that both of our voices were heard in the wedding preparations. The countdown had started for our wedding. There were 2 weeks left, and Rachel had to finalize her wedding dress. I wanted to tag along for the dress trial, but she said that it would be a surprise and did not want me to see her in the dress before the wedding. Liam had come to pick her up and they left. I did feel that Liam was getting too involved in the entire process, but as Rachel was being so comfortable around him, I decided that maybe he was also excited to see his best friend getting married. All the preparations were going as per the schedule, and there were no hiccups with anything. There was a dance that we were supposed to prepare for the wedding. At times, I would see Rachel and Liam practicing it when I was busy. I did feel hurt, but I knew that if I had been there, Rachel would be practicing with me. I made my peace with Rachel and Liam being friends and decided to focus on my own preparations for the wedding. It was important for me to remember that friendships can evolve and change, and that it didn't diminish the bond I shared with Rachel. Plus, seeing them practice together only motivated me to work harder on perfecting my part in the dance. Finally, it was the day of the wedding. I was restless and nervous at the same time, my heart pounding with anticipation. The months of planning and preparation had led up to this moment, and I couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and jitters. As I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my tie for the umpteenth time, I took a deep breath and reminded myself that everything would be perfect. I was waiting at the altar with bated breath, scanning the crowd for a glimpse of my soon-to-be spouse. The room was filled with the soft hum of anticipation, and as the music began to play, I felt a surge of emotion wash over me. This was it, the beginning of our forever together. She finally walked in, looking absolutely radiant in her wedding gown. The room seemed to hold its breath as she made her way down the aisle, and I couldn't help but be overcome with a sense of awe and gratitude. In that moment, I knew without a doubt that I was about to embark on the most incredible journey of my life. We took our vows with trembling voices, promising to love and cherish each other through thick and thin. The words felt weighty and profound, as if they were filling our souls together for eternity. With tears of joy streaming down our faces, we exchanged rings, symbolizing our commitment to one another. It was a sacred moment, filled with the promise of a lifetime of love and happiness. The pastor asked us to kiss and seal the wedding. We danced just like we practiced and celebrated with friends and family around. We headed to our honeymoon suite and lawfully enjoyed our night together. The next morning, we woke up feeling refreshed and excited to start our first day as a married couple. We decided on a honeymoon trip 6 months after my promotion. I wanted to take her for an exquisite trip, which she would remember for her lifetime. I wanted it to be the best holiday of her life. We spent 2 days in the hotel that was booked by my parents. We went home and unpacked our bags. This was our first day in this house after we were married. We just lay on the bed, enjoying the feeling of being newlyweds in our own home. As we cuddled and talked about our dreams and aspirations, we couldn't help but feel grateful for the love and happiness that surrounded us. We knew that this was just the beginning of a beautiful journey together, filled with countless more unforgettable moments and adventures. I started going to work 3 days after the wedding. Rachel was still on her summer break, so she was just chilling at home. I came home and noticed that Liam was already here. I thought that after our wedding, things would be different and he would give us space. However, it seemed like Liam had no intention of leaving anytime soon. I couldn't help but feel a sense of disappointment and frustration, as I had hoped for some alone time with Rachel to celebrate our newlywed status. I was trying to convey with my eyes to Rachel to ask Liam to leave, but she kept ignoring my silent pleas. It was becoming increasingly difficult to hide my growing impatience as Liam continued to make himself comfortable in our shared space. I couldn't help but wonder if Rachel was oblivious to my desire for privacy or if she simply didn't want to confront the situation. I finally spoke out that it was getting late and Liam should probably leave since I still had to go to work tomorrow. Both Rachel and Liam looked shocked at my sudden statement. Rachel quickly apologized, explaining that she had no intention of invading my privacy and was genuinely concerned about my well-being. Liam, on the other hand, seemed taken aback and offered to leave immediately, realizing he had overstayed his welcome. I woke up the next morning and I saw that Liam was constantly sending messages to Rachel. I wondered if there was a problem or an emergency, so I decided to check her phone to see if there was urgency. As I was about to read those messages, Rachel snatched her phone from my hand and said that it was not cool to look into other people's phones. I was surprised by her reaction. I said that she doesn't need to be so defensive. It was just Liam and I was just concerned if he was in any problem. She dismissed it, stating that he was not in the right frame of mind and she needed to be there for him. She was very protective about him, so that is why she has been behaving that way. Well, he did not look disturbed or troubled yesterday when he was chilling out here. I made breakfast and left for work as Rachel was engrossed in her phone replying to Liam. I decided to get a few things straight today with regards to our space and how much of Liam's involvement would be appreciated. With that determination, I kissed her goodbye and left. I was working and the feeling of unease kept nagging at the back of my head. I decided to leave early from work and decided to take a walk. As I walked, I remembered one of the messages from Liam to Rachel asking her when he should come home. It was then that a sudden realization hit me, and I began to suspect that there might be something going on between Liam and Rachel that I wasn't aware of. I called in sick and left work. I reached home and saw Liam's car parked outside. My heart raced as I cautiously entered the house, unsure of what I might find. The sight of Liam and Rachel sitting closely on the couch, engrossed in conversation, confirmed my suspicions and sent a wave of anger and betrayal through me. I decided to wait and see what further unfolds between them. As I stood near the door, I saw them exchange a lingering glance before Liam leaned in and kissed Rachel. My world shattered in that moment, and I felt a mix of sadness and rage consume me. They started undressing each other, and I knew then that I couldn't just stand by and watch their affair unfold. I had to confront them and demand answers. I shattered the vase kept at the entrance. That brought both of them to reality. They froze and were shocked to see me at home at this hour. They had assumed I would still be at work, and the sight of me standing there amidst the broken pieces made their hearts sink. I was expecting them to panic and give me explanations, but what transpired was something I was not expecting. Rachel started laughing. Her laughter echoed through the room, breaking the tension that had filled the air. Confused, I looked at her, unable to comprehend her reaction. Meanwhile, Liam's expression shifted from shock to relief as he joined in on Rachel's laughter. I thought that I had lost my mind. I was left with disbelief at their reaction, wondering if there was something I had missed or if they were playing some kind of prank on me. It felt surreal to see them laughing instead of providing the explanations I had anticipated. I was raging with anger and asked Liam to leave my house immediately. I needed to talk to my wife alone. Rachel asked him to leave, and he did. I asked her to explain what she was doing kissing Liam. She smirked and told me to have a seat. She said that she needed a scapegoat to complete her assignments, and I seemed like the perfect candidate. Though she never showed any interest in me, I was the one always willing to do things for her. She was expecting it not to escalate to this level. But as time went by, she and Liam had decided that it would be funny to use me for all their needs. She used me to help her with finishing her degree at the university. I was feeling so devastated. She would have just asked me for my help instead of making me go through all this. She was smiling and laughing, disclosing all this to me. She even told me that I was such a dork who thought that a girl like him would even think of marrying a beauty like her. She could get any guy to fall for her just by flipping her hair. Liam had always been her true love. They made this plan of using me both intellectually and financially for their needs. She told me that I was not only doing Rachel's but also Liam's assignments. Feeling betrayed, I confronted Rachel about their ulterior motives. She confessed that she had been manipulating Liam as well, exploiting my emotions and trust. It became clear that our relationship had been built on deceit and manipulation, leaving me devastated and questioning everything I thought I knew about love and loyalty. It was her idea to make use of me, and even if things went south, I could be fooled by some crap story that they could cook up. She was expecting to play along for some more time before she got bored of me and left me. It was getting more and more difficult for me to breathe, listening to Rachel coming clean about how she and Liam very carefully approached me for their own benefit. She told him how they had been goofing around with each other even in my presence, but I was so stupid to think that they were just friends. They enjoyed making a fool out of me and often challenged each other to hug or kiss in front of me without getting caught. Everything about the wedding was decided by them, and I was just there as a prop. She even told me that the day she went for her dress trial, they had a steamy quickie in the dressing room. She wanted Liam to be the first one to see her and feel her in that dress. I could not believe that she was the same girl who I had fallen for. After spouting all kinds of nonsense to my face, she went to our bedroom and took a nap. I was left there still, unable to comprehend what just happened. I must be dreaming. It's just a bad dream. When I wake up, all this will be over. I was still in denial that this was happening to me. There were a lot of red flags even during the preparations of our wedding that I had turned a blind eye towards. I now wish I could have been much more rational and decided to follow my gut. There were instances where many people I knew had come up to me and suggested that I reconsider the decision of marrying her. But me being me, blinded by love, I did not pay any attention to my friends' suggestions. Now, when I look back, I had so many opportunities to call off the wedding, but had been stupid enough to still go ahead with it. It was all in front of my eyes. Liam was always at home when I was gone. He would always tag along with us, and they would have hushed conversations. He would keep checking her out all the time while going to a party. They would sit too close to each other, often forgetting that I was also with them. It was all my fault that I was so blinded by love that it was all right there but did not want to see it. It took me 2 days to realize what Rachel and Liam had done to me. I decided that I can't sit here pitying myself. Rachel had left yesterday with Liam for dinner and asked me to leave the house before they were back. They did not even have the audacity to apologize to me for making my life into a joke. I made up my mind not to let this go so easily. I can't be Rachel's puppet anymore. I had to do something to redeem myself and not look like a loser. They had no shame and were laughing their hearts out after being caught cheating. I left the house and I was thinking of how I could take my revenge. I started thinking of ways to make them regret this. As I was scrolling through my laptop to find my options, I received a notification from Rachel's university for the deadline to submit an assignment. Oh yes, I completely forgot that I was still logged into her university account. And just like that, I knew exactly what I should be doing. I logged into her account and changed the password so that I have access to everything. I went through her subjects and looked into everything that needs to be submitted or completed before a deadline. I made a note of everything and started formulating my plan. I knew that she cared so much about graduating that she even faked it to love me and got married to me. If that is something she cares about, that is what I need to stop her from having. You steal something precious from me, I do the same to you so that we get even. That's how you live your life, at least that is what my mind kept telling me. I had always suspected that her love for me was not genuine, but I never imagined she would go to such lengths to secure her graduation. It became clear that her priorities were solely focused on achieving academic success, even if it meant deceiving me in the process. In order to level the playing field and make her understand the consequences of her actions, I felt compelled to retaliate and take away something equally valuable from her life. This was the only way I could ensure she truly comprehend the impact. I started my work on her assignments. I filled them with garbage. I sent explicit emails to her professors, which included graphic images of her trying to seduce them as well. I wanted to cover all bases. My only focus was to get her expelled. I knew that she could not plead guilty to her professors and let them know that she shared her login credentials with someone else. That would get her in trouble, as they would know that she was not the one doing her assignments. Either way, she would get expelled from university and not graduate. It looked like a foolproof plan. Within a day, she got to know what I had done. She and Liam came to my old house where I had started living after leaving our house that we recently purchased. I showed them in and sat there sipping my coffee. I knew that I had to act cool and let them have their say. Rachel started talking and asked me what I had done. I acted dumb. I asked her to remind me what exactly she was talking about. She said that I ruined her life by intentionally submitting crap assignments and also sending emails to her professors that were vulgar. She was devastated and couldn't understand why I would do such a thing. Liam, on the other hand, was furious and demanded an explanation for my actions. As they both continued to express their anger and disappointment, I started laughing hysterically. I told them that they looked too funny right now. They had nothing much to say and left. It did look like an achievement after what they had done to me. I thought that I would be satisfied by this, but I wasn't. The anger and rage did not die down. I knew Rachel was very good at telling stories and knew that all her professors adored her. She might be able to get out of it and still graduate. I had another idea in my head. The house that she and Liam were living in was under her name. I called my bank and asked them to take my name off the monthly payments and add my wife's name to it. The manager agreed to it. The same way, I made sure all the bills were put under her name, as I had taken this house to move in with her. She had the responsibility to pay up for everything that I had spent on her so far. Till this point, I was taking care of all the bills as I loved her. Now there was no need to do anything for her. She and her good-for-nothing boyfriend, Liam, can handle all of this. I decided to move from this old house as well so that they don't track me down again. So this is what it has come to. 3 weeks ago was the happiest day of my life. I was imagining spending the rest of my life with someone so cunning and cruel. Today, I am left with nothing but sadness and anger. I was so gullible and naive to think that I could be worthy of love. I had believed that I had finally found someone who truly cared for me, but now it feels like a cruel joke. The pain of this betrayal cuts deep, leaving me questioning my self-worth and doubting my ability to trust again. I would like your support to know if you think what I have done is right and what I should do going forward. Never once did I imagine that my life would take such a drastic turn after meeting Rachel, who I thought was the love of my life. Update. Thank you for all the love and tones of advice that you guys sent across. Rachel had showed up at my work a few times asking me to pay the bills and the mortgage of the house. I told her that they were not under my name and I am not liable to pay any of it. She threatened me with divorce, which I knew was coming. I asked her to file for it and I am willing to go to court. I knew she did not have the money to hire a lawyer, and she was already in trouble with her assignments as I was not there to do them for her. I was finally feeling a sense of joy looking at her all stressed about things which she never had to worry about when she was with me. This should be a lesson to her to realize what she had lost in her selfish desires. I could see it on her face, the regret and the pain of deceiving me. I was meeting a lawyer for lunch when I saw her walking on the street. I didn't even want to give her 2 seconds of my life, so I just turned the other way. I noticed that she had entered the restaurant with another man. They sat at a table across from me, her head facing me. I first was expecting it to be a lawyer. I was hoping for Liam to follow her around like always. Something about the whole setup didn't feel right. The lawyer looked at where I was seeing and said that he was a businessman who had a new escort with him every time he went out to eat. So now this is what she was doing, seducing rich old men to pay her bills. No wonder people say karma is a bitch. She had a wonderful life with me. All she had to do was forget her past and live a happy life with me. I have finally moved on from Rachel and the haunting experiences she gave me. She did teach me a lesson though. Never blindly believe a girl who is too hot and intelligent at the same time. They always have ulterior motives. Always question what they are going to get out of you, and also make sure that you get something out of them if you already know that you are going to get used by them. Well, I am not the kind of person who should be giving advice to others, but I would like to say to all the young people out there not to fall too early and too fast in love. Always look for the red flags. Don't be blind like me, and please learn something from my mistakes. Listen to people around you, which I know can be difficult when you are smitten by love. Been there, done that. Choose your partner for life very, very carefully, and if something is bothering you, please speak up and ask them to choose. Don't be an idiot like me. I know this is all a rant. Let me just end it here. Take care, everyone, and thanks for listening.